Welcome the Fine and Country Real Estate Academy, especially designed as one-stop shop in providing practical real estate training in all relevant areas. So our facilitator for the day, Mrs. Udo Okonjo, our CEO, should be coming up now to welcome everyone officially to our program today, Sell Like a Champion. Welcome, Mrs. Udo. Good to have you here.
It's amazing to be here. Thank you, Lanre. Great job. Okay, we are going to move right along to our power duo, Tim Covington and Tony Wheeler.
Thank you, Udo. I really appreciate everything you're doing as well, and thank you so much for having us on your show. It's a show because it's a very important show too. I think I just wanted to close out on a couple of things before I start explaining what I have done and what I propose to give advice on. I lived in the Bahamas for about 16 years, and I'm still actually a resident there, but that's another matter. And in Nassau, you won't believe it, we have over 3,000 agents and brokers offering real estate around the islands. We have over 700 islands, but most of it is concentrated in the Nassau area, where multimillionaires and large companies will install themselves for tax reasons. It's probably, being 27 miles by 7 miles wide, it's probably similar in size, maybe to, or even a little bit larger than Lagos. But in order to control the mass explosion of the real estate business, the Bahamas Real Estate Association was set up in, I think, about 1995. And it was incumbent upon anyone who wanted to be a real estate agent. They had to undergo 2 years of training. And I mean, okay, training basically is a bit like going along as an assistant to a broker or whatever it is, and then you take exams, and then you're able to have your card, or you're able to sell and real estate on behalf of your clients. And although in one respect this is very useful because you've got people who are trying to get into the business, and that includes the banks, that includes the lawyers, because they think that they can do the deals outside of having to go through any requirements as a real estate broker. I'll just sort of tidy up on that, because I think that there does need to be some kind of control over, as you were saying earlier on, the amount of people that are coming into the profession who profess to be people who know what they're talking about. I mean, in the Bahamas, if you want the best real estate agent, you'll probably find it in your taxi driver as you're coming back from the airport. I don't know whether it's the same in Lagos, but they will get a commission from whoever has got that property for sale. So it's an interesting situation. However, I'm not just a real estate broker. I've spent my passion recently, especially in yachts and yacht broking. It's all very similar whether you're selling a yacht or a house. It's something that people have saved money for, and it's going to be their home, and it's going to be somewhere where they're going to bring up their kids. It's going to be something which is spiritually, emotionally, is attached to them. And as a real estate broker, you're someone who is, if you like, being the person who is going to find that gem for them, and they're going to live in it, and they're going to love you or hate you for it. Hopefully they're going to love you, and they're going to stay with you, and when they come to sell their property, they will call you again because you gave them such good service. As Tony was saying earlier on, someone who's buying something, they've also got something to sell, and there's two deals that you can do there, and you're going to satisfy people every way that you look at it. I, as I said, spent 30 years. I've spent over 30 years in the real estate business. Started in France and the UK. Then I moved to the Bahamas, where I worked with the likes of Christie's, and then I moved to St. Martin for a year when I worked with Sotheby's. So I was always in the high-end real estate market. And my thought process is, you have two choices. You can either sell 10 properties for $100,000, or you can sell one property for $1 million. The work is the same. And obviously that encourages higher end properties to be of interest to realtors such as ourselves. Obviously someone's got to get onto the ladder, because before you can sell these major properties, there's got to be someone else who's going to be buying your property underneath. They've got to get on the ladder. And the UK is a prime example. There's an absolute mass of people looking to buy property, and there's just not the demand is there, but the supply is not. So they're building houses like they're going out of fashion, and presumably it's going to be similar in Lagos with the increase in populations around the world. More and more people are going to be wanting to move into the I could say the larger areas of major buildings, high rises, which unfortunately is going to be the way it goes. Look at China. I mean, but they build all these high rises and no one's living in them. But I mean, that's another matter. I find that what we've got to move on to is finding the reason why people buy from you as opposed to somebody else, and that's what we're here to talk about. As you said, trust is probably the number one item that people would be interested in, because if they can't trust you, why would they even talk to you? I mean, that's what I look at the situation. One of my mentors is a gentleman called Vincent Finetti, he sells high-end yachts and expensive yachts around the world, and I've been on his courses too. And one of his ditties, which I always love, which is about relationships. It says you've always got to put the relation before you put the ship. So that means basically, when you talk to somebody, you probably don't even need to talk to them about what you're selling, whether it's a property or a yacht or a helicopter or a jet plane or whatever it might be. You want to create an attachment to them, a similarity, something which you have in common, so people will be more inclined to listen to you. Don't sort of rush in with the big sales talk and this is available and it's just been reduced and blah blah. They need to feel that you're somebody they can trust and that you're on the same page as they are, and that's something which it takes time. And a lot of these youngsters who are in real estate, they go in there and they don't do it, and they wonder why they don't get the sales. And it's because people don't trust them. They don't know them. They don't think that they've got the experience to be able to handle it. And I do understand that. And I have to say that my passion has always been demonstrated when you talk to somebody. They feel this warmth. They feel an accommodation. And that's what you want to have, that kind of feeling back from somebody else. Then you can get on and discuss what they're actually looking for, because there's a number of questions that you have to ask somebody. It's all very well saying they want to buy a property, but how many bedrooms do they need? What is the location? What about the money? Have they got money put aside? Are they going to need a mortgage? These are all questions that are fairly simple, but they have to be ticked off like a box as you go through, so that people know that you're asking them the right questions. Because if you don't ask the right questions, you don't get the right answer. That's what I found in life. And 30 years of experience, it's all down to trust, to be quite honest. So I think there are ways of including someone into your life, and it might be that you'll have to take action yourself by getting out and about. No one's going to come to your office to go and find a property to buy from you. you've got to be out there and you have to be able to talk to people, which I think is important. That have the facility to socialize. It's not an easy task either. Some people are very shy. They might be very good at knowing what property, the valuations, etc. But that's not about selling, as you say earlier on. I've got a couple of examples here. In the Bahamas, we have an island called Harbour Island, which is where all the rich and famous and all the film stars go, and they love going over there for the weekend or a week or whatever it is. And one of my friends is a real estate broker, and she tells the story. Unfortunately, she has to tell the story because everyone asks her about how she had a visit from this rather tatty-looking man who arrived in jeans and a torn T-shirt, and he was looking at this $10 million property house on the beach. And she looked him up and down like this, and she said, well, I don't think really that's going to be suitable for you. I'll show you something else. So he said, no, I'm interested in this property here. Do you want to show it to me? And she said, well, not really. I think it's probably better that that we find something a little bit more in your league. Anyway, with that, he said, well, don't worry then. I'm going to leave now. I'm going to go and find somebody else. So we went to another real estate agent, and this real estate agent also had the same property listed, and Bill Gates bought it. So it just goes to show you never know who is actually in front of you. You can't judge your book by the cover, exactly as you say, Udo. And I find that it's a story, and of course she's terribly embarrassed about it all now. But it's water under the bridge, and especially nowadays, you never know what people are going to look like, where they come from. It could be alien. That's another thing. So if you want to get people to buy multiple properties, or you want to have multiple contacts, apart from being out and about, being socialized, you have to have referrals, and referrals are probably 65 to 70% of any new business. Those are the industry figures, and to be honest, they do work. I have an example of that. When I listed a 9-floor condominium, brand new one on Paradise Island, very luxurious development, starting at 1 million up to 5 million for the penthouses. We're going back to 2000, mid 2000s. And while it was still in planning stage, we did our marketing in the UK because we reckoned that was probably a good market to start with, because Americans, although they come across to the Bahamas, they don't have the right to have bank accounts over there. They have to declare their interests. It's a difficult thing for them. But Canadians and the Brits are the top market for us. So we had interest from a number of wealthy people who came and said, yes, I'm interested in this development called Ocean Place, and which was right on the water, and it had a marina and a beach, and it was overlooking the golf course and the harbour at Nassau. It was absolutely gorgeous. So we told them about the deposits, and one or two actually put deposits down subject to coming in and inspecting, and we hadn't even built the place. So when they eventually came over, we were probably up to the first or second floor. We took them up. I climbed up the ladder, and we went and showed them, well, this is where your bathroom's going to be, this is your sitting room, this is the master bedroom, and they thought this was all very nice. So people signed up on a plan, and on that basis, it spread like wildfire, because I asked them, I said, well, do you think there are any of your friends who might be interested in coming along and joining? He said, oh yeah, absolutely. He said, we're all looking for something where we can be together as a family, so to speak. Even though we're business people, we're colleagues together. Well, Nick was my first client, and he bought a $2 million apartment, and then he introduced me to his father, who bought a $4 million apartment, and then introduced me to all his colleagues and other friends. And all together, it was $12 million, and they hadn't even been completed. So they were paying on a retention basis. It was 10%, 20%, 15%, whatever that was going on as the building went up. And it just goes to show that they were so happy that they were part of the building process, but that their friends were also there with them, and the referral was what actually produced the money, which is what produced the sales. And admittedly, it was prior to 2008, because as we all know, the worldwide financial collapse at that time didn't really help matters. I was on a $90 million project at the time to build a Ritz-Carlton hotel on Rose Island, which is one of our little islands, which is about 5 miles from Nassau. Literally, the check was on its way with the courier, and they called him back. So that's life. But meanwhile, you know, I'm trying not to focus on the things which are bad, because we can all do that. And I'm really sorry again to hear about what happened in Lagos. But you know, we all have to move on, and the show has to go on, as you know. So I'm very happy to assist anyone who wants to have more information, or they want a mentorship of some sort, because I think that that's what we all need these days, even when we get old, and even us oldies can learn from the youngsters too. So with that, I'll hand you back to Udo.